Everybody talks about being released from prison and how we sit for years waiting on those doors to open. Finally relieved from all of that tension on our shoulders. So yeah, we happy. But then soon realized that it's hard work putting our life back together. And the hardest part is running a household.
According to county police, it happened just before 5 p.m. on January 7th. Officers responded to a scene on Glengarry Road and found 34-year-old Jonathan Brown shot to death. Well, today, county police announcing they have arrested a 15-year-old boy, charging him with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. First Alert 4 right now is working to learn if that teen will be charged as an adult.
I remember walking into the halfway house and it was a female at the front desk this time, and she just kept looking at her phone and she was saying, "Man, that's so sad what happened to him. That's so sad what happened to him." So just out of curiosity, I asked her, happened to who? And she went on to tell me about a guy that was at the halfway house that the same year, well, before I got there. He was there earlier that year, and he had gotten killed.
I heard about the 15-year-old boy that waited for his dad to go to sleep and shot him in the head because they had an argument earlier that day. The dad was in prison. He served his time. He had gotten out of prison probably about a year earlier. He always spoke very highly of his children and did everything that he could. And when he got out of prison, he was literally trying to make up for lost time.
Damn. Unalive by your own blood. See, on average, a federal inmate is 500 miles away from home. And that distance affects family connection. They say it's punishment for the parents, but it really affects the children even more. That's why it's prisonism. And prisonism does more harm than good. You never know who will be the unwitting victim of it.
They say he was asleep when it happened. In the early morning hours of January 7th, 2026, police responded to a call on the 10,800 block of Glengarry Road in North St. Louis County. Inside the home, officers found 34-year-old Jonathan Brown suffering from gunshot wounds. He was pronounced unalive at the scene. Authorities say a 15-year-old, allegedly his son, was taken into custody and charged with second-degree murder and armed criminal action.
We get out of prison and we're trying to come back and jump into their lives to steer them in the right direction, especially if we know what they're up against, because we saw what we were up against. And sometimes it can be conflict. It can be friction because it's growing pains, but being away from the household and being out of that child's life, that child thinks different now, with that child value and things like that. It was just a sad situation. It just made, make us all reflect like, damn, I'm trying to get back into my son's life, and man, his son just killed him.
He thanked God for allowing him to be in his son's life and show him the morals and principles he needed to make it through life.
He even threw his 15-year-old son a birthday party. There were videos online circulating, and you could see Jonathan just being super attentive and just being very caring and showing love to his son.
Can't make up for lost time. And prisonism makes it even harder to redeem ourselves as fathers. 300 minutes a month isn't enough to express how much we love y'all. Then fast forward to that moment that we realize how much prison has affected our relationship. That family member gets out of prison, we gotta kind of find our way within the household, find our position. And it don't always turn out the same, nor does it ever sometimes it don't turn out progressive. You feel lost. So while prisonism claimed the life of a father who was trying to recreate the relationship with his son, just a month prior, prisonism claimed the life of a mother and her daughter due to a boyfriend who had just got released.
Police said firefighters found 45-year-old Latasha Brown and her 9-year-old daughter, Paige Buckner, shot inside their burning home on Floyd Avenue.
I remember walking into the halfway house back in December, and the guy at the front desk who signs us in, he was like, "Man, did you hear about your cellie?" Or he said, "Your roommate?" He said, "Man, you hear about your roommate?" I'm I'm like, no, what you talking about? I thought that he was talking about another roommate. I had a roommate that had a drug problem. Thought he might have OD'd or something. And he goes on to tell me like, nah, man, he killed that lady and her daughter.
Detectives spent days looking for the suspect. Tuesday, U.S. Marshals, local and state officers arrested the 40-year-old man at a Poplar Bluff home without incident.
You've got people coming home from prison who were nonviolent when they went in, but yet when they get out, they're committing violence. You've got a man that went into prison for a gun charge. It's not a violent crime. It's felon in possession of a gun. He gets out after 6-7 years, and when he gets out, he's not even out a year, and he commits an atrocious murder on a mother and her daughter. The same woman who he was dating, who he was with, killed both of them. Her and her daughter killed both of them. Something was wrong there. Something happened while in prison that he just couldn't cope with the outside world or the family dynamic. And that needs to be talked about.
See, getting out of prison is supposed to be like a resurgence of life. But it's not always like that, because everybody that get out of prison isn't equipped with the tools to survive in this society. I'm talking about technologically, socially, mentally, spiritually. We just be broken.
The crazy thing is that even if the FBOP did everything in their power to keep you connected with your child, 9 times out of 10, when you get out, you'll just be co-parenting your biological child, and you'll end up being a step parent to other children. And that's something that's rarely talked about, because first off, we're getting out of prison and we're trying to get acclimated back into society, and then we're trying to get acclimated into a family that is not necessarily ours. We're completely new to the family, new to the household, new to how everybody relates to one another, and we're trying to go from there, trying to progress from there, and that's hard. So understand that prisonism is society's problem. It's the dehumanization of people in prison, and it not only affects the subjects in prison, but also those who are merely connected to the people in prison. How many inmates can say that one of their parents did time before? Too many. It's far time for prison to turn into a place that's suitable for subjects to change. It's time for it to be a place that's a commendable institution where its workers are proud to work there. It's time for us to end prisonism so that post-release statistics are favored more towards success rather than recidivism. Again, this is society's decision though. I'm James Truss, and it's time to end prisonism.